In this video, we're going to be constructing a perpendicular bisector to a segment. So to do this, we're going to be using Geogebra. So make your way to Geogebra. But then, because we're doing geometry, it has a special part of the app for geometry right here. So click on right here in the middle of your screen for geometry. It'll open some special tools of Geogebra. So now that it's loaded, we have to start with a segment. So over here on the left are all our tools. Find the segment tool, click on that. And now when we click on the screen, it's going to make a segment. Again, use the mouse for this. Don't tap on the screen. So click once. It'll put a point there. Remember, you click and then let go. And then when I move the mouse, it's drawing the segment for me. And then whenever you've got it as long as you want it, click again. And that creates our segment there. This is what we are going to make a perpendicular bisector to. So remember, perpendicular means it's 90 degrees. Bisect means it's going to be in the middle. It's going to be cutting this in half. So to start out with, we're going to grab the circle tool next, this one over here. And we're going to start our circle at A. So you click on A, click and let go. And then when you move the mouse, it draws the circle bigger and bigger, and you're going to drag it all the way out to B. So the radius of this circle is exactly the same size as our segment. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing the other direction. So I'm still on the circle tool. You're going to click on B, so that's the center of the circle, and then as you move your mouse out this way, you're going to make it the exact same size over here. So you're going to click on A, and that locks the circle in place. Now the picture is a little bit too big, so if you come down here to the bottom right, click the zoom out button a little bit. That way you can see the whole picture. Don't click again though, because you are still on the circle tool. If you want to move the screen, you have to click on the move tool. So I'm going to click on the move tool. Now I can center the picture. All right, now that did something very important. Because these two circles are exactly the same size, where they intersect, I'm going to put a point. So click on the point tool, and so they intersect up here at the top. So I'm going to click right there, and it should lock it in exactly where they intersect. This point is now an equal distance to point A and to point B. Because it's on both circles and the circles are the same size, it's what we call equidistant. That happens somewhere else down here at the bottom, so also click and put a point at this intersection. Now those 2 points are going to give us our perpendicular bisector. So go back to the segment tool, click on C, and then make your way down to D, and then click on D. That is our perpendicular bisector. As you can see, it intersects at an exact 90-degree angle, and it cuts the segment in half. Now, to prove it to you, we're going to actually do the measurements here. So, over here on the left, click on More. And if you scroll down a little bit, there is a measure section where you can measure angles and you can measure distances. Now, one more thing before we do that, we have to put one more point on. So go back to your point tool. We need to put this center point in, the actual midpoint here. So click there for point E. It should lock in at the intersection. Now come down to the measure tool. Let's measure the angle first. So click on the angle tool. Now remember, an angle takes 3 points. So you have to click on all 3 points of an angle. So to get an angle on the inside here, I'm going to start on the outside. Click on B. Then I'm going to work my way in. Click on E. And then click on C. You have to do all 3 points of the angle. And there it tells us that angle is exactly 90. Now that's kind of jumbled, so I'm going to move some things around. To move things around, you have to use the move tool. So I'm going to move the 90 up a little bit so it's out of the way. I'm going to move the E down a little bit so it's out of the way. Now it looks nice. All right, so we've got the angles measured, 90 degrees. Now it's time to measure the distances. Is this actually a bisector? So go back down to the measure section, click on distance or length. So now we're going to measure these segments. To do that, you click on the starting point and the ending point. So click on A, it highlights. Now click on E, and it tells us that from A to E, segment AE is equal to 5. Again, that's in the way. That's obnoxious. So I'm going to go to the Move tool and move it over to a nice place. Now we're going to measure the other segment. So go to Distance and Length again on the Measure tool. And now we're going to go from E to B. So click on E, then click on B, and there it tells us that is also 5. Now click on your Move tool to move that to a nice place. There we go. Click somewhere else to make those options go away. And here we have a nice perpendicular bisector of AB. Now, because we constructed everything, we can move this and everything stays true. So grab A, and then you can move A around. You can make it bigger or smaller, and you still have a perpendicular bisector. Stays 9 degrees, and those two segments are exactly the same. So this is what you are going to snip, paste it into Word, and then you're going to print out a copy for you and a copy for your partner. Make sure you put your names on it.